Velia person here, and I am here with my guest,
Stephanie.
Anna. All right, and today we're going to share just some conversation, okay? We're going to talk a little bit about mindset, a little bit about business, and we're going to get into the different thoughts that come into our head, the struggles. They're going to go back as far as about, 7 years? Is that how long you guys have been in doTERRA?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to just pick their brain if that's okay. They might have an idea of what questions I'm going to ask them, and they might not. So I'm going to catch them off guard, and I want you guys to pay attention to their expressions, and then we'll go from there, okay? So I want them to share a little bit about how they were introduced to doTERRA. And I know you guys have shared your story before and give a little bit of your testimony, but I really want to know what happened to want to make you work the business. What happened? You said, okay, I'm going to start sharing, doing classes, whatever, but what inside you drove you to not just work the business, but to advance as fast as you did, work the business so much where you were driven to continue to build rank and just kept on going, okay? I want you to share any struggles you may have, and I'll ask you those questions. Any concerns, right? Mindsets throughout your 7 years? Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're going to start with Stephanie.
Okay. So I already shared my story on a previous Facebook Live, my first Facebook Live ever. Thank you, ladies, for the opportunity. I'm not very techie, so you can rank advance without being techie, although it probably helps to be techie. So what motivated me was being home with 4 kids every day, homeschooling them, and thinking, gosh, this would be much easier if my husband Ben were home with me helping. So, I kind of resisted this vehicle when it came as a business. I wasn't interested initially, but fortunately I changed my mind after 4 or 5 months. But I was hosting classes because I wanted to learn about the oils and I didn't mind sharing the oils with others. That's why we like to consider, sometimes we avoid using the verbiage, you want to do the business with me or whatever. You just say, are you open to sharing with friends and family? Because probably 95% of leaders in doTERRA started out as sharers, but if you had approached them with the business, they would have said, no, I don't want to do that. So that's something to consider when you're working with people too, just to, be mindful of the verbiage you use with them. And it's not intimidating if you just say, would you be open to sharing with friends and family if they've already seen that the product works. So that's what I was doing for the first 4 or 5 months. I was using the product and sharing the product by hosting classes, but I wasn't teaching or anything like that. And then once we caught the vision that, wait, this actually could be a vehicle to get our dream of road schooling our kids half the year, then what motivated us, both of us. Look, fortunately, I had my husband on board, but that's not necessary. People in my upline didn't have their husbands on board initially until the income became so great that they became interested. But anyway,
That was me.
Anyway, so fortunately he was on board from the beginning, so it was a mutual goal of ours. He really loves his family, and he wanted to be home too and be with his girls and to be with us. And it also makes it easier to be in an RV 6 months a year when you don't have to be at a job Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So that was our motivation.
Yeah, and that was very interesting. So about a year ago, I was introduced to doTERRA, and I had the privilege of being invited to a leadership get-together, and that's when I first met you. So I was into doTERRA about 3 weeks ago, and your story really inspired me because my dream was to travel the world and do this and do that, whatever. And I thought it was awesome that a blue diamond, and we'll talk more about rank and what that means in a little bit, took time out of her schedule with her family and came to talk to a very small group of girls, ladies that got together for a slumber party, which was awesome, by the way. And she sat there and was super transparent. She sat there and she's like, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. And she was very sincere. You were very sincere when you did.
It's the truth.
Yeah, and you made it so I felt like I can do it. Mm-hmm. So after meeting you and you sharing your story, you were even so transparent. You went into your back office, right, on your laptop. First of all, she picked on me because she had a purple laptop and mine was pink. She was like, yeah, no, purple. She opened up her dashboard and she just shared it with all of us. Super transparent. This is what I do. This is who helps me. I don't do it by myself. My team is awesome. I'm just super blessed. So she never sat there. You never sat there and took credit for everything and me. So that's what helped me admire you and watch you. So your Facebook posts, watching you stay home with your kids, taking pictures of everywhere you're going, your girls tumbling on barrels, mom and dad being there. It's super inspiring. right? So when I followed you and I saw what you did, I'm like, I want to do that. And because I had met you and the way you shared and you were so transparent, it felt like I can do it too. You weren't this person on stage giving a pep talk, getting all bedazzled. You were just like, look at me. This is what I do. So that was neat for me to be in the room with you and sharing. So an average rank, an average income for a rank like yours is more or less what? Just to give them an idea of.
Well, from the numbers that Corey Lindley just released at Leadership, the average income, monthly income for a Blue Diamond is $37,758, and that makes an annual average of $453,100. Keeping in mind that's before taxes and business expenses, which can take up a good chunk of that, but still, that's not too shabby.
Yeah, much more than what Ben was doing 9 to 5.
Yes, much more than Ben was doing 9 to 5, and now we get to be together all the time and just be visiting and spend lots of time with his family in Virginia and my sister in New Hampshire. It's just great that we have the freedom to spend time with family and friends and stuff.
I love how you shared how your dad was always so present in your life as a kid, and now your kids get to, experience that as having your husband home.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's an amazing thing to have.
And it's neat because we can see her now and be like, oh my gosh, she's a diamond, and think like, oh, that's her, we can never be there. Because it's very likely that many of us can have that mindset to think that it's not attainable, that we could never do it, whatever. And Shannon mentioned in the comment, like, what makes me so special? I can do it, why couldn't you? So your drive was to bring your husband home. And if you don't mind me asking, how long did it take you after working really hard to bring him home? Or you could just...
So from the time that we decided to do the business, self-disclosure, we decided to do the business after we were the rank of silver, because I had been hosting classes, like 3 to 5 classes every 2 weeks for 4 or 5 months, even though I wasn't interested in doing the business, just because my friend kept saying, I'm coming to town, can you host classes? And so I kept doing it, and she kept putting my contacts under me, because it was, she came from out of state, so she didn't know my people. And she knew. That's something you have to consider too when you're building the business. You have, placements, like Dina said, is a bear. It's a tough thing. It's hard to give advice on. And no matter what advice you get, you go with your gut instinct. Go with what you think is right, because your upline or crossline, whomever you ask, they don't have to deal with the consequence of the decision you make. So, and I tell people that, like, do whatever you want. If it's the opposite of what I say, no worries. I'm not offended at all, because it's your business and you have to decide what's best. But, what was I saying before that? Wait, let me get the in tune.
Don't remind her, don't cheat.
Okay, so I tend to go on tangents. Oh yeah, thanks Intune. Wow, works so good. Miracle oil. Okay, so I was just explaining the whole point about us getting to silver so then we qualified to go to leadership retreat, and that was at the Zermatt Resort in Midway, Utah, that first year we went, which must have been 2011.
And by this time, I've been doing the business, or how long?
We had just been hosting classes since we hosted our first class October 12th, 2010. And then we hit silver. I believe silver was March of 2011.
Nice.
And just hosting classes, I actually have my thing right here. Oh, silver February. That's right. And then the leadership retreat was in March.
Nice.
Okay. So we went to leadership retreat, and we were really impressed with the people that were there. We were impressed with the owners. And so we kind of decided, like, why not? We might as well do it as a business. So from that point, that was March 2011. We worked really consistently and persistently for 2 years. We participated in 3 diamond clubs, and then we then retired March 15th, 2013, which was 4 years ago now.
Yeah. Wow.
And so it's 2 years that we replaced his income. And they advise you in doTERRA, well, Justin Harrison, I've heard him say, and others, that you want to double your husband's income before you bring him home, just to be sure, because you're going to have to be covering your health care costs and stuff like that. But we had a unique situation because I'm a flight attendant, so I had health insurance, so that was one thing we didn't have to worry about. So we decided, why wait to double your income when you could just retire now and dedicate some of those 40 hours you're putting in at your job towards doTERRA, then that would help us double the income more quickly. So that was a risk we were willing to take, I guess. But if you're a little more conservative, then wait until you've got 1.5 times your husband's income, or if you don't have any other way to get health insurance, do 2 times, double it if you want to be safe. But I'm sure you guys are capable of making those decisions when that time comes. Yeah.
So what would you say to people? So somebody can be watching and saying, well, that's fine, she got there, or whatever. What struggles did you face, if I can get a little personal?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like you weren't going to make it was too hard, it just didn't make sense? Did you ever feel discouraged? What were some of the things that went through your mind in this process? Because I'm sure you experienced, right, some negative
Sure.
thoughts or whatever. Can you share that?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is when you're my first Diamond Club, for example, oh my goodness. They changed the rules to make it better for those who are participating in Diamond Club, because my first Diamond Club, we didn't have all these requirements where you have to have 5 people with 100 PDLRP order in one area, and they probably made that rule because of people like me. No. Anyway, so my first Diamond Club, I had these people set up. So I had a family member in Virginia that was geared to host a class once a month, and then I had this gal in Arizona that was going to do it, and then I can't remember who the third one was. But anyway, they all bombed out on me. The one in Arizona bombed out on me before I even went there. She just changed her mind or something. And then my family member in Virginia, I went and did the class. It was great. She had a good turnout, but she just said, I can't do this once a month. This is too stressful for me. So there went that lead, and that partner in crime or whatever. Yeah. So then I'm like scrambling just to try and get the minimum qualifications to stay in Diamond Club. So I'm like Facebook messaging friends. I flew to Hawaii. I'm a flight attendant. So you got to understand that, I'm flying, but it's free to fly there. But I paid for a rental car, stayed with a friend. But I flew all the way over there, and I got 2 people to host classes over there, one on one island, one on another, so I had to fly from one island to the other. And the one gal had 1 person there, and the other gal had nobody there. So that was kind of frustrating. And then I did a class in Costa Rica, probably that same Diamond Club, because I was scrapping, And I fly to Costa Rica. I've never been to Costa Rica before or since, so I've been in Costa Rica for fewer than 12 hours now in my life. Because I flew down, taught the class, flew out the next morning. And she had 2 people at the class, So, I'm traveling all these distances and not getting light seeing them. Yeah. And, none of those people even enrolled. Oh. The 2 people in Costa Rica and the 1 gal that showed up there, got no enrollments from those, So that was a lot of fun.
That could be frustrating, right?
It can be very frustrating, but
what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Like, seriously, people, you can't get, Heidi's and seats or what? Because, that was one thing. I wasn't interested in doing the business, but I'm a social person, and I knew the oils worked. So at least I got people in seats at my classes, right, for my friend. Yeah. So anyway, whatever. Yeah. So there were some frustrating times along the way, but I had a belief because I was looking at my upline who, they made it to Diamond, and then they made it to Blue Diamond, so I knew I could get there. So that's why I had the belief, and I just kept going. And that's the key. My husband, who's nothing like my brother. Anyway, so my husband always says, if you're persistent and consistent, it's not a matter of if, but when you'll be successful. And we truly believe that. And again, it's not a race. So, and Justin Harrison once said, I love this. He said, if it takes you 10 years to get to Diamond, is that so bad? 10 years, you're making $15,000 a month probably, somewhere around there, right? Is that a bad deal? In the current job you're in 10 years, are you going to be making $15,000 a month and not having to be there 40 hours a week? Anyway, I just thought that was a really good perspective, because some people get discouraged because they're not rank advancing quickly enough. But shoot, the 10-year plan is great. It's better than the traditional 40-year plan that's not working out for anybody but maybe 1 or 2% of the population. You see these people working until they're 80 now because they can't afford to retire.
Yeah, that's scary.
The doTERRA plan is better, even if it's 20-year plan, dude. Still.
That's true. That's a good point. I think a lot of times it's very interesting to find somebody that is willing to share their secrets with you. Because a lot of people have done and they've been successful and sometimes they don't want to share. So in that, what do you think about mentorship? Like, how important do you think it is for somebody who wants to maybe one day sit in your seat or live the life you're living? Like, how important do you think mentorship is for an individual that would want to rank advance and have that title one day?
Well, mentorship is very important, and I have to admit that I really admire one of my frontline leaders, Charlotte Snow, because that gal, when she wants to learn how to do something, she will seek out the person that excels at that and pick their brain. And even with Monica Goodsell, who built a Blue Diamond organization on working booths, Charlotte didn't love booths. She was not successful at booths. She thought they were a waste of time, but she wanted to improve her skill. And she was blown away that Monica Goodsell could build a Blue Diamond organization just on working booths. So she asked her when we were in Jamaica on an incentive trip, hey, I'd love to come work a booth with you, I'll fly in wherever you're doing one. So, and Monica's so kind and just shares her information freely, and that's how everybody is at doTERRA. And I would highly recommend that you make it a point to put the incentive trip on your calendar and get there. You can earn it. Talk to your upline about how you can earn it, because you can get a free trip there. If you don't earn the free trip, you can do it like we always have, since we've never earned it, and do the old-fashioned way and pay for the trip. Hey man, but it's a good investment.
Yeah.
It is such a good investment. Because now doTERRA is so big, at convention you really don't get access to the leaders, the high-end leaders. But you go on the incentive trip and there are tons of diamonds and above there. And they're so awesome. You're just sitting with them at the pool or at the beach or whatever, and you ask them questions, and they're just happy to share their information. So anyway, so at that incentive trip, Monica said, yeah, come work a booth with me anytime. And so Charlotte and one of her main leaders flew to Houston to work a booth with Monica. And so, yeah, mentorship is great. And it doesn't necessarily, well, I love finding mentors within. Okay, we just got cut off, so I'm hoping that you heard that it's good to get mentorship within doTERRA, people who have gotten to the place you want to go. But you can also get good information, like you guys earned a Danny Johnson, right?
Yeah.
So other people, you can get great information from lots of different places.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, seek out people like, and what's his name? Eric Worre. Mm-hmm. He talks about having the skill set, and you have to get out of your comfort zone and learn how to do things like videos like this.
Another great mentor is John Maxwell, because he builds leaders.
Yeah.
So if you're planning on obtaining a leadership role, it's very important for you to learn to equip yourself to be a great leader, because you are going to have a team to lead. And if you're not investing in personal growth, and it's not always cheap, but that's how you know who's really serious. You have to invest to be able to reap benefits from it, because personal development is a never-ending story. Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. A couple other questions we're going to have. We're going to shoot on over to Dina. And Dina Wolf, I met her about a year ago, and through a scan, we developed an awesome relationship. I like to call it a divine appointment. So through that, I seek mentorship through her. So it's somebody that I look up to very much. Not afraid to tell me what she needs to do, how she needs to, just the whole planning. She's very transparent as well. Okay, so again, Stephanie touched on reaching out to mentors. If you see somebody doing something you want to do, don't just sit there and say, oh, it's never going to be. Reach out to those. So I reached out to Dina. Through Dina, I've been able to establish a relationship with Stephanie as well, which I'm very grateful for. And these girls are real people. They're not, again, somebody you're going to just look at and never, have the opportunity to pick the brain. So this is a really good opportunity for me to get to pick both of their brains. So again, with Dina, you've been doing this for how long?
A little probably about 4 months less than Stephanie. So you started in October, and I started the following year, I believe, in March or April.
Mm-hmm. And what happened? You were introduced. I remember you shared your testimony.
Yeah.
And what happened, or how soon after you started using your oils did you say, you know what, this is a business I want to work?
I wasn't really sold on the business part of it per se because I didn't really know what it was all about. And so I remember Stephanie coming up from, you lived about an hour and 40 minutes from me. So she would come up to our area quite often and have some classes. And then there's a couple of people between us and they would have some classes. And so I went to everything just to kind of learn more about how the essential oils worked. And then they would talk a little bit about how the business worked, but none of us really kind of understood it. I just knew that the oils worked, and my background is health and wellness, and I absolutely love that part of what the oils do. And so I was just kind of really loving sharing them and seeing the results. And then like down the road, I remember you teaching a class, and I thought, because my one of my biggest fears was public speaking and speaking to groups of people and having eyeballs on me. Like, I was the kid who seriously ditched school if there was a presentation due. Like, I would tell my mom I was sick, I wouldn't go to school that day, and I wouldn't do my presentation, and I'd take whatever as a repercussion. That's how bad it was. Like, it just gave me pure anxiety. So I always knew, like, there's no way I'm ever going to teach a class. But I was comfortable with sharing the oils, like, one-on-one, and saying, hey, this would work really well. This might work really well for you for blah, 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 blah. Try this, whatever. But I remember Stephanie was teaching a class, and she kept asking me in front of everybody, and it was so embarrassing. And she would say, I don't know, Tina, what do you think like this would work on? And I'm like, yeah, I would probably use peppermint. And then I remember going home that day thinking, I think I just basically taught that class. And so then that gave me a lot more confidence, and the fear level went down quite a bit, and I thought, okay, I think I might be able to do that. So that's really where I kind of thought and considered the business aspect of it. Yeah. But in the area that I was in, people are not health conscious. And so I remember doing a lot of farmers market
That's
food.
a big challenge, by the way.
It's a very big challenge. And me and Tiffany would go to the farmers market every Wednesday, and we would have our little vials out, and we'd say, Are you open to natural health and wellness? And everybody walking by would say no.
No, where are the donuts?
Right? And they'd go straight to the popcorn, straight to the donuts, and straight to the ho-hos and the deep fried pies. And so we both kind of look at each other like, oh, how are we gonna do this? So for me in the beginning, all of that with that. So yeah.
What did that do? When people were passing you up and like we're not interested, right? Because that's a struggle that a lot of advocates face right now.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, because through building a team and talking to people that aren't even on my team, the biggest struggle is, well, I try, but people just don't care.
Yeah.
Or I do it good. So what would you say? I mean, that's a perfect example right there. So
Yeah.
people were passing you by like, no.
They would just straight tell me no. It was so beyond frustrating, and then it was also heartbreaking.
How did you feel?
I felt defeated. I felt defeated. Like every single week we would go and we would get the same result, a big fat goose egg. And then I thought, this just isn't working. We've done this for 2 months. Like, I haven't met not one person that's even let me put oils on them. You know what I mean? But I'm not a quitter, and I think that's really what sets people apart in this business is you gain your success by just not quitting.
Yeah.
You just don't give up.
And I have a question because I'm going to ask. Like,
Yeah.
people say don't quit, don't give up. So I'm sure that you got those negative thoughts coming in as well. What did you do to not entertain them? Because you could have been like, yeah, I'm never going to make it, whatever. But you say you're not a quitter. What did you have to tell yourself? Or what did you have to do to make sure you kept going?
I think knowing how awesome the product is gives you the motivation, because I know once I find the right people, they're going to be very blessed by what I have. But it's just finding those right people. And so I knew they were out there. I knew that people needed it. I just had to get myself in front of the right people, I think. And that's really, I think, something that kept me from quitting. And I have thought about quitting several times. And I'm sure you'll probably ask me.
Yeah, that was
more
my
about
next
that.
question. Like, it's neat because that's the first time I heard that story.
Yeah.
That you were in it was okay, so these girls are my mentors, in case you hadn't picked up on it. So I've reached out to them and I'm like, feed me, show me, I want to grow, I want to rank, what do I do? And then they're sitting there and just volunteering information. So every time they speak, I learn something new. Like that's something I had to learn. I didn't know that Dina did.
Yeah.
But I'm sure in your 7 years and the time that you've been here, you've had several times where you're just like, screw it.
Yeah. I don't remember the reason why, and I probably was frustrated at a class. I've had people mad at me. I've had, and that really like breaks my heart because my intent is never to hurt anybody, and so it's almost like it's very defeating when someone is mad at me, and I don't confront very well, and so that's something that I've had to really grow in. But I remember coming home and thinking, I'll just go back to my nursing job. I make good money. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm sick and tired of people being angry and mad at me. And it was over something stupid. I don't even remember what it is. But I remember praying about it and thinking, you know what? I'm just going to give it all up. Like someone else can have it. They can deal with it. And then the Lord telling me, oh no, I have big plans for you. You're not going anywhere. So this is your healing ministry that you've been praying for, and you're going to suck it up and get over yourself and move forward. And that's what I did. That's what I did. So
Nothing like God whipping you into shape,
right?
And that's
Right.
one thing. Jordan,
Well, on that question about the mindset thing, something came to mind while she was talking, and that is Tony Miyakawa, what's his name? Tony Kiyosaki. Is that his first name? Anyway, you know what I mean. That guy. He says instead of "I can't afford it," you say "How can I afford it?" He says change your words, change your life. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you meet challenges, and you don't say "I can't do it." You say "How can I do it?"
Yeah.
You get back to the drawing board. Okay, so 2 months at the farmer's market wasn't fruitful. No, right?
Yeah.
I know.
So you figure that out, and then you go, okay.
Yeah.
So that's not working for us. You get to because you're not a quitter, so you're going to make it happen. So then you have to sit down and plan again. Okay, or brainstorm or whatever. Like what other opportunities
and I
can
love
we
what
seek
you
out?
shared yesterday on our other call about the plan, do, assess, and readjust, because I think you're willing to try something over and over again until you realize that was not fruitful. So let me readjust something here and let me see if I can get fruit another way. And so I think and then also too, in those moments where you are thinking about quitting, you just don't entertain that idea for very long. You can think about it, you just can't think about it for a long period of time. You can't let it defeat you. Really, that's what's kept me going. I don't know about you, but that's kept me going this whole time. So,
and I appreciate your transparency because a lot of people can sit, and especially us that aren't right there, we're not where we want to be, right?
Yeah.
We can look at you guys and think, well, they're made of stone. They don't care whatever happens. They keep going. So you're not a quitter, right? And that's fine to have that mentality, but it doesn't mean you don't hurt. It doesn't mean you don't struggle.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't mean you don't get that negative mindset that kind of sits for a little bit. But the thing is, you've already equipped yourself through mentorship, through personal growth, through reading, to be like, I can't just say, like, I'm going to quit, or it feels uncomfortable, it's not working. You're constantly looking, both of you are constantly looking to try to figure out, it's not working, so what do I do now? What do I do now? And that's part of not quitting.
And if I can just interject again, what another thought that came to my mind is you were telling that story, like, I'm going to quit, and then, okay, well, what came to my mind is what James Bybee always says, and that is, he says, doTERRA is a self-development business wrapped up in an essential oils company.
Yeah.
So if we just give up, throw in the towel and quit, are we developing ourselves?
No, and that's the part where we don't realize, because I've grown so much. I'm not the same person I am when I started doTERRA.
Right.
Not even a little bit.
No.
And the interesting thing is when I started doTERRA and I entertained the idea of doing a business, I was also in my bachelor's for nursing. So I was working full-time, which I never worked full-time in my entire nursing career. Plus, I had gone back to school, and that's a huge commitment. If you talk to anybody that's in their bachelor's for nursing, they almost have to go back to part-time in order to even do it because it's so demanding. And here I am in Diamond Club with a bachelor's program and working full-time. And I had a 12-hour drive a week sitting in traffic.
If
which I
anybody
didn't
had
have.
excuses, that woman
Right.
had excuses. So.
Right? And that's the thing, like, I think,
So if you're on her team and you're making excuses to her, maybe you'll have a greater understanding why she doesn't want to hear it or has no compassion.
Yeah, I think because it was such a struggle in the beginning, and I have had a ton of struggles. I'm not near even the rank that Stephanie is, but I've probably worked just as hard trying to get there.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
I will give you that.
Yeah.
I've never had as many ribbons as this woman ever at any convention.
Yeah.
And that's neat that you share that because
Yeah.
you can work, and for a lot of people, we're going to get into more questions right now because every time they answer something, I'm like, oh, I'm going to ask them this or
Yeah.
whatever. But again,
Yeah, you might be
it's
the
not.
natural, right?
Yeah, it's not because of lack of trying or hard work, whatever.
No.
You're seeing her struggle, right? And she'll share. She can share her rank, and this is what I'm doing, and this is my average income. If you want to share that, this is where I'm at. I'm not there yet, but she's continuing to work hard, continuing to grow personally, and even though she has excuses, she's not alone yet because, as she mentioned earlier, God gave her a mission, right?
Yeah.
And you don't tell God, I'm sorry, I can't do it, because He's like, yeah, that's not going to work. So that's her reason why she continues to push herself forward, and regardless of that. And I'm going to go into that. I'm going to change a little bit. So, like, as moms, okay, and I know I can say for myself as well. When you're constantly trying to develop yourself and attain goals, it requires a lot of your time, effort, emotion, and you can be kind of out of balance at times.
Yeah.
How, as a mom, did that make you feel? Did it make you feel like less of a mom because you had to spend less time with your kids, or you had to reach out to people? You're sitting in
feel
booths.
guilty.
Yeah. So share a little bit about how you felt as a mom, right? Trying to work hard, and the reason why you're working so hard is for what? Your kids, right? Our families. So talk a little bit about that because I want to reach out to the moms out there that are trying to stay home with their kids, working busy schedules. I want you to see how it works, so you know you're not alone.
That is a great question, and I think the career path that I chose. One of the reasons I chose it is so I could raise my own kids, and so I only worked part-time, so I was minimally out of the house. And then I started working full-time, plus I went back to school. So that there took more time and that took more time. And then here I then go embark on this adventure of, which I will tell you, my husband was not on board, not even a smidge in the middle, in the beginning. And it was very, it caused some friction in our marriage when in the beginning because he wasn't on board with the oils or the business. And so, but I knew in my heart that was a calling that I had. So being then outside the home even more made me feel guilty. And that's really something that I think I struggled with most is that guilt. But I had it was something that I was led to do, that I had to overcome, and now I don't. Now I don't feel guilty being, leaving the home to go teach a class or anything like that. Now I don't. But I've seen now what it's done for my children, seeing their mother go out there and chase her dreams, and how they've become very independent, and their brains are now dreaming, and they know what they can achieve. And I think that's an awesome gift.
Yeah, for sure. So all that sacrifice, all the effort, all the tears and everything.
Dang, why are you making me cry?
Sorry, I have a tendency
I'm loving
to
it.
do that. I have a tendency to do that. So sorry. I like to get to the heart of people because you know what? And this is a really awesome interview because we've all been to conferences when they're up there and they're teaching whatever, and you kind of sort of relate, but not really, But these are your leaders here. they're sharing, they're being transparent, they're being emotional, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're telling you guys it's not easy. You are going to have 10,000 reasons or excuses to quit. You are going to feel guilty. You're going to feel like, you're being a loser mom. I've gone through that, done that, whatever. But then I think about the alternative.
Yeah.
You were able to retire
Yeah.
as a nurse at 41 years old,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And
40
live,
at 40.
oh, sorry,
You're 41?
Sorry.
41 now.
At 40,
every time.
right? Because
Yeah.
because of her sacrifices and her tears, her blood, her sweat, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she said, you know what, this is for a season.
Exactly.
And here it is. That's the control that you have. I teach people all the time. You can't control the thoughts that come into your mind, but you can control how long you entertain them. So if she would have said it's not going to work, whatever, right, and given up because it got hard, where would you be right now?
Working probably full time and then some, 2 jobs because we were in so much debt we couldn't take it.
Yeah. And there's the alternative, guys. A lot of people say, oh, I wish I could do it, but it's too hard, or I don't have time. And it's not to say that it's not legitimate. Yes, I know you work hard and you love your kids and you want to spend time, but every day you're going to bed upset, right? You're waking up angry because you have to go to work and the employer's not working.
Yeah.
And here's the biggest thing, and you guys help me out with this, that so many times we try, and the oils aren't being used like we want to, but we make it about other people. Oh, they don't want. I'm going to stop because they're not interested. Well, they don't care. I tried.
Oh, they didn't call me back. I called
And they
them
didn't,
7
and we
times.
hear excuses, and that's fine. They're legitimate
Yeah.
reasons, and we're not saying that they're lying, but what I'm saying is you're allowing them and their excuses and their lack of interest to determine your future.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's about you getting to where you need to go.
Yeah.
And nothing worth attaining is ever easy.
Nope.
So I would encourage you to stop making it about the other people and start really looking at yourself and say, what do I need to do to equip myself? And what do I need to do to continue to push forward and get over whatever speed bumps and walls are crossing your path? Because this is the result right here of hard work, sweat, and tears. And I know you mentioned you homeschool your 4 girls.
Yeah.
And you're a flight attendant.
Yep.
So you're not just working, you're away.
Yeah, so my husband was working full time, and I was resistant to the business initially, well, just because I had preconceptions about network marketing. My idea of network marketing was gold chains, people holding big checks on a stage, and fancy cars, and that wasn't for me. I've never been into status or anything like that. I mean, you probably can't see, but
Are we still
I don't wear makeup. So appearances really don't matter to me. So
she's a cutie anyway. Just so you know.
Thanks. She's adorable. Adorbs. Anyway, so when my friend, was trying to get me to do the business, I told her, I'm sorry, I don't have time for that. I have these 4 kids. Excuse me, I had
You had
3 at that time.
Yeah.
Thanks. So
Yeah.
I had 3 kids, and I was focusing on becoming a good homeschooling mom, how I could homeschool these kids, and I was like, I just don't have time for that. Luckily, I changed my mind, but my friend, my upline did tell me, I don't recall saying this, but she said that she remembers me you're ruining my life or something like that, like when we were getting going. I guess that was probably my moment where you were like, you wanted to throw in the towel, but you realized this is the path you're supposed to go.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe that was my moment like that, where I'm like,
gonna do
you're ruining my life.
It's my calling, but what
I can't do it.
I'm trying to do it. Yeah.
So you told your upline that she was ruining your life because she was encouraging you to build a business?
Because she was wanting me to do this, and I didn't want to do it. She was persistent with me too.
Why? Why do you think? Okay, looking back now, why do you think that she was so persistent with you?
Well, to be honest, she was in a desperate place. No, I'm serious.
No,
she,
and that's
she,
fine. Share.
She was about to lose her home.
Okay.
And she was tired of not having money. So she decided she was going to go and make it happen. And fortunately, I had those 2 oil experiences 4 months apart, where after the second one, I was like, I want to get some of those oils. Didn't have an interest in the business. But, I mean, it's amazing how much it's a God thing when you look back on it now, because she had just begun Diamond Club when I called her. And she took the right approach with me, so be aware of your friends. Had she been obnoxious like that, and like right after my first experience and followed up with me, I mean, follow-up's important, but know your friends. I'm kind of a little, hard-headed. So if she had been the one approaching me, then, it wouldn't have worked out well. And I had ringworm on my arm, and I know it was placed there for a reason. I've never had it before, never had it since. I know I got that ringworm for the sole reason that I would reach out to her and ask her if any of these little samples she left would work. And then when it did, I was convinced, okay, 2 separate experiences, 4 months apart, I want to get some of this product, So honestly, she was, persistent with me because she needed to get to Diamond, which was great. We were both, it was a great advantage for both of us because I was a willing person to host classes. I wish I would have found somebody like that in my first Diamond Club, but I didn't. Instead I'm scrambling all over the U.S. and Costa Rica and everywhere. So it worked out well for both of us because she got herself to Diamond by getting me to Silver and 3 others while she was doing Diamond Club. And anyway, but my point is, like when you were talking, I had written down the same note. You're showing your children by your example how you're accomplishing your goals. And then you give them the passport to dream, what do you want to accomplish? And then they can go after their dreams because they're going to follow your example. And the other thing is 2 to 5 years. I'm sorry, yes, I did neglect my children for a couple of years. And maybe I still do sometimes. Yeah, probably. But, 2 years of, sacrificing 2 years to now have mother and father together with these children 24/7, I think that's a pretty small investment for the return we've gotten.
Yeah. Was it easy?
No.
Frustrating at times?
Absolutely. Still is.
Yeah, it still is. Okay, so that's what I want you guys to understand, that it doesn't stop being hard and it doesn't stop being a struggle. So it's not like you have less of it, but you get better at it. Because you're practicing tools that you're picking up along the way. And as God continues to bless you with more enrollees, more income, more whatever, you're better equipped to handle. So Scripture always talks about, if you're faithful with a little, God will bless you with a lot. So He wants to see, and it's not just finances. A little bit of stress. How are you with a little bit of stress? How are you with a little bit of this? And as you do well and you're growing, you're continuing to invest in yourself. And that mindset of I'm a horrible mother and I'm traveling, because that sinks in. I'm guilty. That happens. You're a horrible mom. You're a horrible wife. You're more invested in the business. You care more about other people and their health. So I've had those thoughts, and some people actually verbalize that to me, And now that's the devil, because God has a greater purpose. If I'm sitting there and asking God to increase my territory, Lord, help me bless people. And if I get discouraged when things come along. But if I spend too much time, I notice how I'll just fall.
You get derailed.
Yeah, you get derailed, and then God's work stops. So I've been very diligent in praying and asking God, what do I need to do to not stop furthering your work? And that's what they keep showing. Keep growing. Go here. Go there. Whatever. And don't get stuck on stupid. That's how I call it. I don't want to get stuck on stupid because there's no growth there. So I'm glad that you guys are sharing that. Those are common emotions you guys went through as well. That you're not,
Superhuman.
Yeah, you're not made of stones, because sometimes, and I'll tell you, some people on your downline may look at you like, you know what? They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't have dirty dishes, or they don't have kids, whatever. And
I definitely have dirty dishes.
Yeah.
I only like sink.
And I'm like, some do make it look easy, and behind the scenes, you have no idea what goes on. My husband was home for the past 3 years, so he was able to help take care of the kids while I did go out and do doTERRA and do Diamond Club and that kind of stuff. So, he did get on board.
Eventually.
Finally. Yeah. But he, like your husband's awesome because he helps you with the actual business. Mine's not involved in the actual business, but he helps me in other ways. So it's awesome to have that partnership now, which it doesn't always start that way. The men are sometimes hard to get on board. So that can also be a struggle when you have a spouse that's not on board, but you feel the calling.
Yes.
And that's where you kind of run into some resistance, especially where the spiritual aspect comes in to, respect your spouse and do what he's telling you to do and honor him. You always want to be honoring them, but then also too you have to honor God and you have to honor your calling. Exactly. So you almost have like this inner war that happens,
Yeah. And that was my next question. Like, sometimes you have the supportive husbands and sometimes you don't. But I, in my honest opinion, don't believe, and I didn't say it was easy, don't believe that should be the reason why you don't further God's kingdom. And then right now that our instruments are oils, it could be something else, but it is you reaching people out. It is a mission, and we just happen to have oils to do that. So it's not so much about the product as it is the personal relationships you're building with people. And if you think back to when you started, with the amount of people you've been able to bless, and with that one person, how it just spreads.
Yeah.
And had you guys given up, think about all the people that would have not.
Yeah, and that's the thing that gets me every time that I would think about. Any time I did entertain the idea of quitting, that's really where I was like, what if the person that introduced me to doTERRA never did, and my husband lost his job, and I couldn't put food on the table and support my family. I would have literally had to go back to work and work 2 to 3 nursing jobs in order to stay just afloat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's
and
huge.
so that was a huge eye-opener for all of us in the family.
And it's funny, sometimes we think we're embarrassed or, they don't care. Then it's like, who are we to say who we should and shouldn't share with? Just because you think they're not going to like it or whatever.
Yeah, don't prejudge.
Yeah.
And I've learned that. I'm like, you know what? Everybody deserves to have healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who are we to say who we're going to share with?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Share
Because
with
we
everyone.
all deserve
Let them
it,
choose.
right?
Yep.
And
Just
not
decide for everyone else.
and not everybody wants to heal.
And they don't.
There's
That's
a
up
good
to them.
question, and that's it. But you do your part.
Mhm.
So just because you see somebody eating a jelly donut, you're talking about the farmer's market, how they pass right by you, whatever. So just because you see somebody who's out there, you can, they wouldn't be interested. Shame on you for saying that, right? Number one. Number two, you put it out there, and you allow God to bless the work of your hands. Don't assume or put God in a box by saying, "Oh, that's not person." You don't know that. Do your part, share, right? Spread. And my advice to you, we talk about it all the time, is don't be attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
Right?
That's really
Yeah. Sometimes we think that we share this out, and we're well, they don't care, they don't call me back, because that happens, right? I was giving everything away, and that kind of messed me up for a little bit. But I couldn't blame anybody. That was me. Why did you do that? What were you expecting? Everybody to respond the way you did? They don't. And when you really stop and think about, like, what am I doing? What am I getting out of it? Why would I assume that everybody's going to just jump into this opportunity, and then you get upset and sit there and don't do anything?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and you guys both touched on this, and you're just reminding me about this right now. That some people get frustrated when you've got one person you're really thinking about, and then you find out they signed up with somebody else, or they're not interested,
Or you shared multiple samples with them and they signed up with somebody else.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Any one of those situations, what you need to understand is one person is not going to make or break your business.
No.
So you don't let that be your excuse for quitting. Oh, I was really counting on them to be one of my main leaders. Oh, well, there are other leaders out there. Just go find them,
Yeah. And like I always say, well, you know what? I always ask God to bless me with the leaders that are supposed to be on my team in the first place.
It's a good idea.
Anytime that I'm, dealing oils or whatever. And so if they happen to join someone else, I'm like, that's great. They now have a healer in their home. They're going to be blessed. They weren't meant to be on my team because God's bringing me the right people. So always assume that it's a blessing. And so far, it's always worked in my favor. Usually that person ends up being difficult.
Somebody else's name.
Difficult. So I'm like, thank you, Jesus, for that one.
Yeah. And it's
good.
True. Yeah, and it's funny because it's all about perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You have to challenge yourself to look at things differently. And when you said one person isn't going to make or break your business, right?
Well, one person is, and that's you.
Thank you. I was going to say, I'm like, go for it, Stephanie.
One other person is not going to make or break
And
your
it's
business.
true because you think about it. So many, and I've seen this in doTERRA in general, how people work really hard, get to this rank, and just stop. They just fall off. And they're making good money, and you're kind of like, what the heck? Like, what just happened? Like, we don't know what's going on, what tripped them up, what thoughts or whatever. But it's scary to think that somebody would work so hard and just stop. So even if you haven't built rank and you're not making all kinds of money and people are falling off or whatever, you need to keep going because you obviously got into this for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. And you've been challenged and you've had experiences and maybe you felt that calling to continue to. And if you do fall off for whatever reason, what's your alternative? Go back, you said the 40-year plan?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah. So I would tell you to say, like, you know what, I'm doing good, I'm struggling, whatever. But if I quit, then what do I have? and sit down and think about it. Like when you feel like you're gonna quit, stop and say, if I quit now, what will happen? Before you just throw in the towel. Now, if you can sit there and say, if I quit now, and you're okay with quitting and thinking 5 years from now, if I would have worked the same way, I would have been here. And if you're okay with quitting, then fine, but think about it first and ask yourself those questions. You know, and I'm gonna ask your girls this question, like, upline is important. I know it's important, right? But what would you say to those that don't have a very supportive upline, a very supportive sponsor?
I would say Haley Hobson didn't. I mean, she's not like a normal. You know that. She totally builds differently than everybody else.
Yeah.
But there are people in doTERRA who have succeeded without upline support. And the thing is, you just look in your upline listing and you reach out to people.
Yeah.
But it's always a good idea when you do that to tell them, hey, I have reached out. Just point out, I have reached out to these people between you and me, and I'm not getting anywhere, and I'm looking for mentorship or some guidance or whatever. So if you need upline support, and I believe you can do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was going to say too, is just become the upline that you would want.
Yeah, that's great.
Because ultimately, it's your business. The product is the product, and everything about the product stays the same no matter who has the business. The only variable is you. So you want to be the person with the mad skills, right? But how are you going to get them? When we become nurses, we don't just hand you the stethoscope and say, go on, have at it. You know, we go through rigorous training. Then we have mentorship program, right? And then we evaluate you to see if you have all the skills you need to be out there on your own assessing patients. We don't just, you know, there's no job really out there that they just throw you out there without any training, right? Mm-hmm. So why would you want to do that to your people, you know? So be the leader that you want to be, and like she said, look for those mentorship skills and the skills that you don't have, the things that you're terrible at. I was terrible at closing and asking people for money because I didn't really care. I liked the product. I thought everybody needed it, you know, and the business part of it was kind of just this eyesore that came with these cool oils. And so the closing for me was something that I really struggled with. And so that was a skill that I had to develop. And so anything that you're not really great at, like I tell you, all right, you're not good at it. Okay, let's go over there and you're going to do it. Right. And you're just going to keep doing it and you're just going to keep doing it. And guess what happens? You end up getting good at it.
It's
like
something
starting
you're not
out.
good at.
What?
Dang, there's something she's not good at.
I know, right?
Here's the thing about mentorship is they can feel like some meanie sometimes. I know Dina's thrown me under the bus so many times, and I was scared and totally uncomfortable. And after she did, I'm like, thank you for making me uncomfortable. Thank you for doing, thank you for torturing me because it helped me grow. And I know you shared that Stephanie's done that with you as well, like in the teaching of the class or whatever. She's asking you.
Yeah,
she knew you didn't want to do it.
Yeah, she probably did. She probably was like, watch this. I'm just going to teach this whole class, and she has no idea. yeah,
And you know what's neat? It's
that's where the growth is.
Exactly. Yeah. And if somebody's pushing you to do something, it's because they see something in you that you probably don't even see. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it takes somebody else to put it in front of our faces to be like, you can do this, that, whatever. But if you don't believe it and if you don't want to accept it, you will stay there and not do anything. And not being attached to the outcome doesn't just go for clients or potential prospectives that you're trying to enroll. This is also for people on your team. Like, I'm sure that you guys have enrolled people that you see this huge potential in them, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, and they're doing good, and they just stop. Mm-hmm. What goes on in your mind as leaders when something like that happens? Share.
Can I share one really quick? Give me a minute. And so this is coming up for me as you're explaining that, because I had a leader that was like, I can never teach a class. When I was young, someone told me something, and I'm just really dumb and I can't do it. Wow. And I was like, that's heartbreaking to see the bondage that caused her whole life, and that probably happened when she was 5 or 6. Okay, so we get to we're doing a class, and she says, "Well, I can't teach any of it." And I'm like, "Okay, no problem." So she has the paper in front of her, and I said, "Hey, can you read this part to the class?" And she said, "Yeah, no problem." So she reads the part right off the sheet, but she's not teaching. Okay? and at the end of the class, she's like, "Oh my God, that was so much fun. That was so awesome. Can we do that again?" I was like, anytime, right? Because she probably never would have done it. It was so uncomfortable to her. It was something that was never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge, so we put the challenge out there, and she rose to the challenge, and she loved it, and she had a good time. And you know what? She grew.
She rose to the challenge because you were a little sneaky about it.
I was
Yeah.
a little sneaky.
Whatever it takes, right? If you have
Can
to
you
be a
just
little
read
sneaky.
this?
Yeah, my whoop out, right? Sneaky.
Share, Stephanie. Share about an experience.
Okay, so I've been attached before with good friends whom I know can accomplish great things. So if you want to learn from my mistakes, don't be attached.
Yeah.
But you know,
Easier
And
said than done.
it's so hard. Like that's another skill that has to be developed
Yeah.
because we are so emotionally attached. I need this in order to get to that, or I have to have this in order. Oh, this person would be so awesome.
well, yeah, and you get to a point like the level that we're at, we're very comfortable. So and I don't care about status and appearances. So to me, rank isn't. I don't care about the next rank, but we want to keep making progress because I think that helps our downline to have belief.
Yeah.
So that's the one reason I'm pursuing Presidential Diamond, or we are pursuing Presidential Diamond, is because we think it's important to show the progress that you can keep going. But there's no urgency, obviously. We live very comfortably. So when we approached these people, we said, hey, we're going to pour ourselves into you, because we wanted to see them succeed, and we knew that they could, and they would do a few classes, but then just flatlined. And it was so frustrating to me because I knew their potential, but they just lacked belief. They would make all these excuses like, oh, people like you, everybody likes you. It's like, are you kidding me? People like you too, You make yourself likable then, if you don't think people like you. Or whatever, it's like skill set, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was frustrating for me for a long time, and I probably treated them differently because I was a little frustrated with them. But now I'm good. I'm like, well, whatever, because we weren't needing them to do anything for us to progress. We were just wanting them to have the freedom that we have because, they have 4 kids now, and she's a teacher and he goes to work, so they drop their kids off at school, and then the kids go to daycare after school because their parents are still working. So they go pick up their kids at 5:30 or 6 from daycare or something, and then they go home and have dinner, help the kids with their homework, and put them to bed. So I'm thinking in my mind, you're okay with having like 3.5 hours with your kids at night, if that, because I think their kids go to bed super early, so they probably have like 2.5 hours with their kids every night. And that's something that Ben and I realized early on, that was not a life for us.
Okay.
We did not want to not be with our kids. That's one of the reasons we chose to homeschool too, which is people think we're crazy, and we are a little crazy. But you gotta be a little crazy too sometimes,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, so just try not to be attached.
You mentioned something at dinner that was, I thought it was very good. You mentioned that. It's something where you say, you said something like, I sometimes wanted it more for them than they wanted it for themselves.
Yes.
And as much as it hurts because your heart's in the right place, like all you want is for this family to spend more time together.
Yeah.
That's your intention.
Yeah.
You're willing to help. But when you want it more than than somebody wants it for themselves,
That
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
No. And like having the lifestyle now that we have, like we don't have to go to work. Like I think everybody should have it because I think it's
Freedom.
phenomenal, right?
It's freedom.
It's the freedom to do what you want when you want. That's really what the business allows you to have. And then with us, like nurses don't really have great retirement. It's just not fabulous. It's okay. But then again, with the way the economy is, who knows if any of us will even have retirement at all?
Yeah.
We have the whole Enron thing, like what if that ever happens again or something close to it, you know what I mean? So there's all these variables that could take place. But when I have the doTERRA business, I don't have to worry about any of that. That is my retirement for the rest of my life. And it's far more than what I would ever
Oh
get.
my goodness.
on retirement.
Yeah.
Far, far more, right?
Unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. But the problem too is that people, they can't see past it, right? People are
Right.
accustomed to
Yeah.
linear work for linear pay. I work for 2 weeks, I get this paycheck. Wow, that's awesome. Work for 2 weeks, get this paycheck. The problem is with doTERRA, she's working really hard. She's not making a lot of money. But she has a vision for what she's putting forth this effort for.
Yeah.
The payback is in 6 months, a year, year and a half, 2 years, whatever, 10 years if you're on the 10-year plan.
Yeah.
But it's worth the effort. You just keep going. I mean, because you do this linear work, I mean, where's that going to get you in 5 years or 10 years, wherever you are now working? You know, if you don't change what you're doing now, are you going to be ahead, or are you just going to be living paycheck to paycheck in 5 or 10 years? And I can answer that for most Americans. It's not going to be any different. They're probably going to be in debt even and not living paycheck to paycheck. So
True.
it's worth the effort. I mean, sacrifice now, get a great reward later. It's a great return on your investment of time and effort. And I mean, you got to do it. And one other thing I wanted to point out is, I mean, you partner with the right people. But this is something that we had a leadership retreat at the Blue and Presidential Diamond Breakout. I almost said outbreak. Outbreak. Outbreak of information. This guy, Kenny Anderson, was speaking. He has 95% of his business internationally. He's a founder in Europe and stuff. His whole presentation was on enrolling up. Enroll up, man. Approach those people who are, you know, better than you think are better than you, or people that you're intimidated by, or whatever, you know. Like I don't have a problem like approaching a doctor or an attorney. I mean, how many freaking years of school did they go to get to be in the position they are? And how many hours are they putting in every day away from their family to earn the income that I am now earning, or less than I am now earning? You know?
By the time they pay all their fees,
Yeah.
doctors don't really make all
You know?
that much.
And so this guy, Kenny Anderson, he approached some dude in Holland that owned a company, and these numbers are just crazy to me, so I don't remember if it was a $400 million company or billion. It was one of the two. But this guy owned a $400 million company, let's just say to be safe, go on the low average. And, you know, Kenny said, this guy has everything, right? He has everything except for what? What does he not have? Time. He doesn't have time because he's managing a company of 150 people, you know, and he was saying all this business terminology. I'm a flight attendant. Of course, I don't know business terminology. But, you know, like invoices and inventory, I don't know what he was saying. But, you know, you got to do all this stuff. So Kenny approaches this guy and says, hey, you got to take a look at this, you know. He's like, the company holds inventory. You don't need to have inventory. They handle customer service, this, that, and the other. This will provide you freedom. And the guy just sold his business a year ago, and like this week, you know,
I heard about this.
Did you?
Yeah.
And so he had to stay in for a year after he sold his business, stayed in for a year to transition, and I guess it was a deal, part of the deal that he helps the new owner to know how to run everything, but he's leaving, I think he was leaving this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the thing, don't be afraid, you know, and if you're not making much money right now, who cares? It's how you present yourself and how you present this. You got to have the vision and belief and know where you're going. You just say, and you know, Charlotte Snow always says that she counted on my belief because I didn't have any doubts. And you shouldn't have any doubts because you're looking at me, and I'm a blue diamond. And if I can do it, seriously, anybody can do it. I tell people all the time, we're not geniuses. We just got the right company with an awesome product. You know, and if you share it with enough people, or if you partner with the right people, then it's a lot easier. Like we have enrolled at the most, I don't know how many we've enrolled, but at the most, you're going to probably die when you hear this, 115 people in 7 years, maybe. If that. I don't even know if we've enrolled that many. But we are almost at 28,000 people in our organization.
Wow.
So, you know, you really, if you need to write a list. You know, they call it a chicken list. People you're afraid to, you know, people you're intimidated by, you know. And you do the chicken list, man, approach those people. But you got to have the belief. So if you don't have the belief yet, work on your mindset.
Yeah.
Like she was saying.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we're going to end with 2 questions. And I'm going to challenge you guys. I want to know, what's the biggest struggle in leading your downline and being leaders? What's the biggest struggle that you can think of right now?
So my biggest struggle is I feel that I'm not great at launching leaders. New people come in, and it's been so long that I was there at the beginning that it's hard for me to give. You know, I don't know that I'm giving sufficient direction and stuff.
Yeah.
So when you have something like that, then you got to find other pathways, and that's one thing that's great about the doTERRA corporate events. I was at the Blue and Presidential Summit at the Ritz-Carlton in Laguna Niguel in January, I think it was, and it's such a great opportunity to just, pick people's brains.
Yeah.
And the Goddards, our upline and your upline, are fabulous at facilitating masterminding events. So after the Blue and Presidential thing, they had a stay, anybody who wanted to, whether it was their team or somebody else's, stay for that evening, and then we mastermind the next day until early afternoon.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I learned from Danny Smith, the Blue Diamond in Arizona, who's going for presidential, about this new Oil Camp Academy. And so I thought, oh my gosh, that would be great, because I don't feel like I'm educating people well enough, because a lot of the people that we bring in are not local. Like our two newest leaders are in Florida and Poland. So it's not overly feasible for me to be there physically very often.
Yeah.
So I just thought, okay, this oil camp is a great way to get a foundational education on oil usage, because we know that this business is about education.
Right.
If people are not educated on how to use the oils, they will stay in the box and never be open. So that's the thing. I mean, we have challenges, and if we're not good at something, we just got to figure out something that can take the place of that or improve our skill set.
And you didn't just say, I'm not good at it, and oh well, people have to deal with that.
No.
So you really took inventory and said, you know what, this is what I can do. This is what I can work on to be a better leader. So not just be like, oh, I don't have it. And you took initiative to seek out other people, right?
Yeah.
It's not my forte. Let me go
Yeah.
to those people that do have that strength,
Mm-hmm.
pick their brain, learn from them, and now you took initiative and said, you know what, this is what I can do. And social media is huge right now. I mean, it's a personal business. You want to make that contact, but when you are blessed with people from different places, like you're growing, right?
Yeah.
But you found an avenue
Yeah,
to make it so you can still educate them, because anybody can purchase the product, here, buy this, or whatever. But are you doing your part as a leader to educate them? And you found a way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a struggle, you found an avenue, and now you're making it happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we have so many tools available to us now.
Yeah.
We don't need to reinvent the wheel.
No.
Yeah,
Just look out there for what resources you can use to
Yeah.
fill in the holes that you feel you have.
definitely. Okay, Dina, now you get to share what your
Um,
biggest struggle is as a leader.
I think my biggest struggle as a leader is just duplication. And I think it's because people think, like, because I'm a nurse, they have to be a nurse in order to know how to use the oils. But I'm going to tell you, majority of the time, it just comes down to intuition. And that's really it, I don't really look at the Modern Essentials book anymore. I did study it quite
Although
extensively.
I have to say that early on, I would call my upline, and something was wrong with my kid, right?
Yeah.
And I'd go, hey, whatever, this kid is going, this is happening, what should I do? And she's like, what do you feel you should do? And I go, I don't feel anything. Can you freaking tell me what oils to use? So I think intuition comes later for some of us.
Yeah.
Some of us are born with intuition. Others of us are like, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of still that way.
And I will share with you, because most of you will probably find this story really funny. I did not know how to use my oils because they were absolutely foreign to me in the beginning. And so I had horrific back pain. I could barely walk. I had a family physician's kit, and I had no clue what oil to use, so I just put all of them on.
When in doubt, use them all.
Right? And so I'm rubbing them all over my back. They said use the feet, so I used the feet, rubbed it on my feet. 10 minutes later, I felt fabulous. My back pain was gone. I couldn't tell you what oil worked, but all of them together worked really nicely. Just FYI.
When in doubt, rub them on. I like that
Yeah.
one. Just put them all on.
They
Who
all,
cares?
it's really hard to overdose, and you get a therapeutic benefit from every single one. So I was in a great mood, and I had no back pain.
And everybody around you is in a great mood.
Yeah.
Human
Yeah.
diffuser.
We're going to end with the last question, and I want to know, what is it that you love about being a leader? What brings you joy about leading your massive downline, right? You have these leaders, but at the end, you're a leader, right? And I want to know, what is it that brings you so much joy, or what the best part is about being a leader of your own business, your own organization?
I think my biggest reward is seeing women become independent They become the healer in the home, which is awesome. And they're empowered with tools that not only reduce the toxic load for their children and help their families, but they feel empowered. And I think our self-esteem is something that's just so, it gets squished and squished and squished, I think, as time goes on. And I think that's something, as a mom myself, with the tools that I do have, I've been so empowered by them myself. And then also, too, seeing my leaders kind of grow. It's kind of like having children and seeing them grow up. You know what I mean? They become these whole different people. I have an awesome team in Orange County that I hardly ever hear from, and I'm just like, how amazing is it that they don't even need me? You know, that they've become such good leaders. They help each other. They're blessing down their lines and blessing other women to become leaders themselves, and it's just paying forward and paying forward and paying forward. And I think that's what's really amazing to see.
Yeah. And one thing I see in you, if I may, like in your leading and in your style of leading, like you understand that, like Stephanie said, it's not a race.
It's not.
And everybody's different. So you have those self-driven, they're ready, they catch the vision, they're doing, and then you have the ones that are lacking confidence and the ones that are going a little slower, a little faster. But I've seen, just in spending time with you, how you attempt to accommodate all the different learning styles. That's what I call, my background is in education. I'm like, how do these people learn best,
Yeah.
And I see you with your live calls and your videos, and you're out there, and you're always really busy, but you stop to do what you have to do to make sure you get on those calls. And anybody have any questions? And I see how you talk to them differently. You don't talk to them all the same.
No, and I think that's really the hard thing about being a leader and finding a system.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not found a system that I fit into. And it's because I think we're all such individuals.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And when you take the personalities out, or you try to fit somebody in a cookie cutter, and I see this in the medical field as well, we don't fit in a cookie cutter, so that really mind blows me, and I can't stand it, right? And so I think, like, trying to shove somebody in a box or into a square hole when they're in a circle, I think is just wrong. And you really have to love your people for where they are, and you have to kind of meet them where they are.
Yes.
So we all have different needs. Some of them need more hand holding than others. Some need some building up. But I always try to remain positive, not be negative at all, because negativity does not serve anybody. And so, just kind of help grow them where they need to, especially like spiritually as well. So.
And for your leaders that are in your organization, I'm going to ask you both this so you can start thinking about and pick on Dina first. For the leaders that you have in your organization that may get frustrated, because everybody gets frustrated, and I'm sure you've experienced that as well, what would you tell your leaders if they're struggling with the same things that you've struggled with in the past as far as development and things of that nature? What would you tell them? What words of wisdom would you like to share with them as far as, the emotional roller coaster that you may experience sometimes in leading?
I really do try to tell my girls to reach out, because I think there's strength in numbers. And when you and I know you've done it as well, where you're like, I'm frustrated, I can't, you know what I mean? And you're just like, I don't know what to do. And I think that's really, it's hard for some of us to reach out. And so learning how to even do that is going to be like one of the first steps. I think that some of my girls would need to learn. But once you learn how to do it, knowing that it's okay and reaching out when you're frustrated or struggling, that's really where you can not entertain that idea for very long. If you don't reach out when you're struggling, you will sit there and be frustrated much, much longer than you need to be. And that's not serving anybody.
And it's admirable because you do that with Stephanie. Like, I see that you reach out to her.
I've called her multiple times.
Yeah. So as a leader, like, even things like,
yeah.
as far as placement, that one would you should get this down. And she actually still calls Stephanie and says, Stephanie, what do you think? And Stephanie's like, give me a minute. Let me jump on there. She'll jump on and look at your tree and find out, okay, Dina, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And if she feels like she doesn't want to bother Stephanie, or it's not she should handle it herself, or whatever things you tell yourself, then she wouldn't have that insight that Stephanie could provide.
Mm-hmm.
So again, strengthen numbers, reaching out. What is your need? Communicate it, because if you don't, nobody knows how to help you.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And that's the thing too. Like even as a nurse, when you have a patient that's not doing really well, what you'll do is you'll sit in the nurse's station and you run it by each one, because there's only certain things that I'm thinking about. So I'm thinking inside the box, but they're coming at it from a different perspective. So you'll get someone else's perspective as well, which will help you make a better and informed decision. And so it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't matter if I take your advice. You're not going to be offended, but at least I want to know what your advice is, because it might be something that I didn't even think of.
Exactly.
So that's the beautiful thing about having a network and a supportive team to reach out to and run these things by.
One thing I do, I want to know what brings you joy in being a leader, because I know it's a whole emotional roller coaster too. But where are the times, or what exactly happens in your organization where just say, "Wow, I'm a leader, and this brings me so much joy"? What is it?
I think what brings me joy is when I see the hope that my leaders have that their husbands will be home soon from work.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Kids are sad that the dad's leaving. They don't like him to be gone. Especially our fifth leader, because he was working from home and then he got a different job, and with the commute and everything, he was gone forever, and those boys just didn't like it. But that was, when she went gold, she was like, "Oh my goodness, we're almost there. We're almost to the point where we'll replace his income and can bring him home." So that gives me joy, because I believe that every person on the earth has a personal mission to fulfill, and I think that because of the enslavement of employment, most people don't have the time to even discover their personal mission, let alone fulfill it. So doTERRA provides freedom for people, so that opens them up, frees them up to discover what their personal mission is, and then they can then proceed to fulfill that mission with the resources and time they now have as a result of putting in the time and effort with doTERRA. And the beautiful thing is, doTERRA, I think, helps facilitate people finding personal missions with their humanitarian trips, because it's such a great thing for these people that have money to go to these third world countries and to see the great needs that there are in the world, because then they find their calling is to help these people where they went. So it's just such a great company to be associated
It really is. It really is. And as you become a leader, you start thinking, and you're so much more inspired to do those things. Where before, I never would even have fathomed.
You didn't have time for that.
No.
They didn't have time for vacation. I didn't go on a humanitarian trip for a week.
Right?
You
Yeah.
didn't do that.
Seriously. And so then you start to entertain these ideas, and you become a visionary and a dreamer. I mean, I like to say dreamer, but, because you think those are things that I never even would have thought about doing,
Yeah.
But now you can entertain those ideas as a possibility. And that's the cool thing about doTERRA, is they give you that,
Yeah.
And it does. It really does broaden, your everything. Like things that you wouldn't even fathom before. All of a sudden they're
You
there.
can dream bigger, man.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you
Keep dreaming bigger, man.
And your dreams,
You get it.
they're endless. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any closing thoughts for those of you watching it today? Anything you want to share with them? Anything, just share it.
So don't give up.
Spit it
Just
out.
don't give up.
And don't hesitate to reach out.
Yep.
I find that, like she said, we can't read people's minds,
No.
and I have a tendency to not say no to people. So when people reach out, I work a lot with this one gal on my 5th level, because she reaches out to me a lot, And maybe I don't work a lot with my people on my 2nd or 3rd level. So if you are struggling or you need help with something, don't hesitate to use that Upline listing and reach out to people that can help.
Absolutely.
Definitely. All right. It's been awesome hanging out with you girls. Thank you so much for your time, your
Thank you.
insight, as always.
Great interview. Thank
Super,
you.
super.
Oh, one
awesome
last thing
time.
I have to say that I thought about at the very beginning.
Oh.
She was saying that, she's here picking our brains and that, getting mentorship from us, but I have to